So guys, if you remember yesterday we are discussing about the unit testing frameworks wherein which we studied an overview on a JUnit. How to create a JUnit test cases and how can we see whether the script got executed successfully in JUnit or not. We studied this concept yesterday. In continuation with that, the next concept we need to study is a TestNG. So before jumping on to the TestNG complete concept, let us see what is this TestNG. Right, we should know, right, what exactly this TestNG is, from where this TestNG got identified, and what is the start point. Let us see that. TestNG is a testing framework which is inspired from JUnit and NUnit, but introducing some new functionalities that makes it more powerful and easier to use. So it means it's a new one which is a most powerful than JUnit and NUnit. NUnit is a other type of a framework, and it's more easy. It is an open source automation testing framework where NG in TestNG stands for next generation. Okay, good. It is similar to JUnit, but it is much more powerful than JUnit. It is designed to be better than JUnit, especially when testing these integration test cases. So, what are all the various benefits? It gives the ability to produce the HTML reports of your execution. Annotations helps us a lot to work on a task. Test cases can be grouped and prioritized more easily. Parallel execution is possible and even data parameterization is also possible. Okay, good. So these are high level benefits of this TestNG. Now for our Eclipse editor, we don't have this TestNG. Hence, I'm adding this TestNG explicitly to my editor. So go to here, Eclipse editor, help, Eclipse marketplace, and then search for TestNG. Okay, so let me search for here on this TestNG, and click on a go button. See, for this TestNG, whenever you search for this, after a few seconds it will load, and this TestNG option is getting displayed here. Let's wait for a second. It will display, it will prompt the option. Let's wait for a minute. Okay, see here, TestNG for Eclipse. This plugin lets you to run your TestNG test. You can see this is a plugin. And for me, it is displaying as an install. It was already installed. Whereas for you, you can find this install option. Just go ahead and click on an install button. Follow the installation procedure. And in the middle, you do have an option to restart the editor. Just restart it. And finally, this editor will be installed, or else this add-on will be installed to your editor successfully after few clicks. How can we confirm whether it got installed or not? Okay, how can we confirm whether it gonna install or not? The first option here is within this Eclipse marketplace. If you can find installed, that option itself will says that it was already installed. Or the another option is right click on your package. Okay, right click on your package, new, and here go to others. So here in this, search for TestNG. Say this is a TestNG class. Okay, this is a TestNG class. Select this a TestNG and click on a next button. As soon as you clicked on a next button, this is how it's going to display. If you observe annotation, In a before, we have a before method, before class, before test, before suit. After method, after class, after test, after suits, and data provider is a separate set. I'm giving a name as a new test one and click on a finish. As soon as you finished it, see a normal TestNG test got a created with this test annotation. As I told you yesterday, for JUnit and a TestNG, this test annotation is a mandatory, right? This test annotation is mandatory. But I noticed that this has four befores and four afters. Before method, before test, before class, and a before suit. I know that, okay, I know that before means before performing operation, content will be executed. After means after performing operation, content will be executed. Okay, before performing the operation, the content will be executed. After performing the operation, the content present in and after will be executed. That's it. So before and an after. So here, let me create another testng test. See here, testng, click on a next. See here, we have before method, class, a test, and a suits. Before method, class, test, suit. So before has all these things. What is these individual things? We need to know, right? We should know basically. Okay. So individually, there is an option to create a suit in WebDriver using this TestNG. Suit means group of test cases. We can club them as a suit. So, what does this before suit will do? Before executing the content present in a suit, the logic in a before suit will be executed. So, it means for the entire, for suppose in a suit, I have 10 tests are there in a suit. So, before executing these 10, one time the logic in before suit will be executed. Okay, the logic present in a before suit will be executed. So in TestNG, there is an option to group your test cases as a suit. Anyways, that particular option we are going to study moving further. So the content present in a before suit will be executed. The similar way we do have an after suit. The significance is after executing the content present in a suit, okay, or else after executing the content in a suit, the logic whatever we have defined in an after block, after suit block will be executed. That's it. That's going to be the straightforward thing. But before jumping on to the next one, am I clear for you guys with this before suit and as well as an after suit? What exactly this suit stuff is, before suit and an after suit? See, as I mentioned you here, group of test cases, we can club them as a test suit. Okay, see here I have already added this particular point. First, suppose there are 10 different tests are there. We can frame all the 10 tests into one suit. Okay, group of tests combined together, we can treat it as a test suit. That's it. Okay, see this is one test. See here, in this situation, I have a one test, right? So when I can call it as a suit means, see, assume that I have a 10 different tests within a class like this. And every test has a different logic inside that. The combination of all these things, we can treat it as a suit. And the suit means it should have either different tests or internally it should have a different sets of classes. How the classes are going to define, we will see moving further. But for now, we don't know anything about other syntaxes. That's the reason. If my class is having a different number of test cases, I can consider it as a suit. Group of test cases framed together, we can call it as a test suit. That's it. Okay, so moving further, there is a separate syntax for this TestNG suit. We will study with an example how to create that particular suit. Okay, good. So this is about a suit. And after that, a method and a class and a test. Let us see the definitions of that. Before test, run the before any test method belonging to the class inside the tag as a run. Run before test annotations. Simply, I can say run before the test annotations. And then before class, run before the first test method in the current class. See, class means within a class, we do have bunch of a tests like the current example which I have shown. See, earlier in a single class, I have added a multiple classes, right? I just gave it example as a suit, but it's not an actual suit. In TestNG, there is a separate syntax for the suit, which I have told you earlier, which we need to study. So here, if you define a 20 classes in this or 20 tests within a single class, and if you define a before class, the logic whatever you have a defined in a before class, it will execute for only the first test method. See here, this class contains assume that three test methods, and I have a before class logic. So the logic present in the before class will be executed for only once, and that too for the first test. We can call it as a before class. And the after class means runs after all the test methods in the current class got executed. So before class will work only for the first method, and after class, if there are three classes, once after the logic present in the three classes got executed, then only the content present in an after class is executed. So the before class will execute only for the first method, whereas the after class will execute after executing content in all the classes. Excuse me. Content in all the classes. If you have a 10 classes, the content, if it executed for all the 10 classes, the logic, then only it will be executing that. Okay, then only it will be executing that. And finally, the last option we have is a before method. Runs before each and every test method. This before method is similar to that of at the rate before in JUnit. Okay, if you have a 20 tests, before executing the content present in a test, okay, the logic present in a before will be executed. That's it. That's a straightforward thing which we have seen in JUnits. And these many, usually a simple question will rise in our mind. Are we gonna use these many annotations? Yes, of course. Depending on our project needs and the uses, we will be using few of these annotations in the real world under a framework, not a normal level. Okay, so we are going to use all these annotations in a framework level itself. We are not going to use these annotations in a normal class. Under a framework level itself, we are going to use these annotations. Now what I'm going to do right now means copy these TestNG test whatever we have created, and now in this delete all these logics, and now only under the test whatever the basic program I have created in Selenium, copy the content copy the content and paste it here. Okay, copy the content and paste it here. The similar way. Okay, so I'm opening example 6 now, and I want to create a new TestNG test again. See, the only thing what I am doing here, guys, if you clearly observe, the Java class logic, whatever we have created, that piece of a logic, we are directly pasting it inside the TestNG. Nothing more than that. I'm not doing anything else. Just a simple copy paste I'm doing here in this situation. Okay, again I am opening example 7, and even I want to copy this logic to a new TestNG test. So the bottom line what I did means I created so far three new Java TestNG tests. Okay, simply I can say I created a three new TestNG tests. In this TestNG test, whatever the Java class logic is there, I simply copied it and I simply pasted that piece of logic here. Okay, see, I don't want to create my TestNG tester directly. So what I'm doing, whatever the content we have created in a Java class, just copy the content and paste it here. For suppose if you don't want to do such, write down your own logic. You know, I just copied three different codes from my basic programs and I pasted it in a 2, 3, and a 4 in TestNG with a different sets of logics. Now, what I'm doing means right click. See here, we have this naming convention on the top left, right? See here. See, I have highlighted these names 2, 3, and a 4, right? So what I'm going to do right now means right click on a 2, run as a TestNG test. There itself, I'm giving an option to run as a TestNG test. Right click on a TestNG 3, run as a TestNG test. Right click on a TestNG 4, run as a TestNG test. See what I did? I performed a right click operation on a three different tests and I ran it automatically. Three different browsers were launched and automatically it's executing the code on all the three different browsers. Great. The three different browsers the script got executed. So this is one way of executing code in parallel in TestNG. Okay, one way of executing the code in parallel specific to a TestNG, but this is not the right way to execute a code in parallel. Okay, so what I want to do right now means let us see the console here. In the console, it is stating that default test it got executed, default suit total run as a 1, failures as a 0. So a quick question will rise in our mind is I didn't create any suits, but how it is displaying suit run as a 1? How come it's displaying? Now what I want to do right now is, as I told you earlier, upon execution, TestNG will generate a detailed test execution report. Right after the execution, it will generate a report. To see the content on the report, okay, to see the content on the report, just perform a right click operation on your project. See batch 117 WebDriver, right click, refresh it. Just perform a refresh operation. As soon as you refreshed it, okay, as soon as you refreshed it, you can find an option which is a test output folder. See, this test output folder got automatically generated by my TestNG. Expand that folder. It has a index.html file. Okay, it has that index.html file. See, I have highlighted that index.html file, guys. We have this index.html file within this TestNG. Now right click on that index.html file, open with System editor. System editor means it will open it on a default browser. If you open it on a web browser, it will open within an Eclipse editor. But I want to see the report explicitly on my browser. Hence, I am using a system editor option. Choose this option. See here, it opened this one in a new window. Okay, it opened this one in a new window. See here, it is displaying as a default suite. Okay, and here all suits information it is displaying info. It is displaying an information here. See, this is an XML file. Okay, see here, this is an XML file. And then here it is mentioning it as you have a one test, and there are no groups, and times, reports, ignore methods, chronicle methods, results, one method got passed, one got passed, and see this kind of a status it is displaying. So let us navigate to individual links. So I'm see here, whenever you mouse over on that, I can see it says a hyperlinks. So I'm clicking on a first link, which is an XML file. So whenever I clicked on an XML file, so there I noticed that, see, suit tag, test tag, classes tag, suit tag, test tag, classes tag. So this is an XML file test suite. Okay, this is an XML test suite for our TestNG. That's what the ultimate point is. So this is what a TestNG suite is. So in future, if you want to customize your suite, you can copy this XML file. You can study what exactly this XML file is, and you can enhance this XML file, which in turns you are configuring a test suite. So earlier, whenever I'm explaining about the annotations, I told you about a suite, right? So this is a suite in TestNG. How would I say that this is a suit? See here, there is a suit tag here, and it is defining it as a default suit. I don't know what are all the internal keywords they have defined here. So I need to study these XML file, then I can understand what exactly a suit, which we will study in a few minutes. And now here, one test. When you click on that, it's stating that this is a test it got executed. And if I click on a times, this much time it took in order to execute that. So time in a milliseconds, which is a 15,980 or 50 milliseconds. So here the total time running here is a 15 seconds. And the output here, ignore methods and a views which it got executed. So here unit test is a package and new test 4 is a report, and the results it's displaying as a past. For suppose if it got a fail, the reason behind the failure will be displayed here. So the bottom line out over here is, from this report I understood that this report will gives a clear cut information about a few points. The first thing is about the time, how much time it took in order to execute that particular test case. And the second thing is an XML file, which is a test suite. And here inside the results, we can see what is passed and what is got failed, and why it got a fail, the reason behind the failure. All the information we can see within this particular results tab. Okay, all the info you can find within this particular results tab. That's it. So this is the way how to create, okay, or else how to generate a TestNG report, and how to study the individual components in the report. Okay, good. So before jumping on to the further step, am I clear for you all so far, or do you have any questions for me, guys? Do you have any questions, or you are good so far with respect to this? Sure, sure, definitely, definitely. Okay, sure. We will move in a slow pace for sure. Okay, good enough. But so far, is it clear, or you want me to explain these concepts once again? See, the point here is we are not using those annotations at. Okay, as I told you earlier, we are going to use those annotations in a framework itself. Okay, we are going to use those annotations in a framework itself. So far, what I did means I created a new TestNG test. How I have created that? Copied a content from Java class and updated in a TestNG test annotation. And now, after that, I ran one TestNG test. Okay, I ran one TestNG test, and from there, I right clicked on my project and gathered the captured the report. Okay, captured the report. See, if you clearly observe, we haven't done anything so far. The steps what I done is, okay, create a new TestNG test. This is the first thing. Run the scripts. Right click on a project. Reports folder got generated. Right click on a index.html. Open that report, and after that we are studying a content in the report. And moreover, when you are studying the content within that particular report, if you observe, the first point that it has is an XML file, which is a suit in TestNG. So moving further, if you want to group your test cases as a suit, you can use this XML file and you can modify it. That's the first thing. And from the report, we noticed that how much time it took for the execution, which is around a 15 seconds. And the third point is in the result step, we saw whether it is passed or failed. That's it. So these are all the steps which we studied so far within this test engine. Am I clear for you guys? So that's a simple thing we have done. So I opened this report and then I looked into this XML file. How I am confirming it as a suit? At the end, you can find as a suit keyword, right? See here, you are finding a keyword as a suit. So with which I'm saying that, okay, this is a suit, but I don't know how this syntax is, what exactly this syntax is. I need to understand this one. So moving further, we will be studying more details about these individual syntaxes in a suit and we will understand it. It's shown how many tests are there, how much time it took, and whether it got passed or failed. A detailed test execution report, it got displayed here. That's it. So this is a first part of this test ng. And the next part of this test ng is we need to jump on and we need to explore that XML file. We need to create our own XML file and we need to study that XML file. So the next part out over here is XML file. All right, the part two. So far we studied the part one, and now the part two is an XML file. What comes under a part one? See, in the part one, creating a simple TestNG test. Okay, creating a simple TestNG test, executing it, observing the report, and studying a content in the report. That's it. This is a simple step which we can call it as a part one. And moreover, guys, if you remember, under the part one, installation of a test ng followed by various annotations. Okay, various annotations in test ng. So these we consider it as a part one. And moving on to a part two, what we are going to study is XML file from the report, study the content in the XML file, modify the XML file. Okay, so modification of this XML file is the most important thing. So what I'm going to do right now is, before copying the content from this XML file and pasting it out over there, first of all, I'm switching to my editor and I'm creating a new XML file. Jump on to others, search for XML, and from here directly search for an XML file. And I'm naming it as a new file 5.xml. Click on a finish. See here, new file XML, I created it. So whenever you created an XML file, this is a syntax. See this arrow, which is a starting of a tag, and this is an ending of a tag, and it is stating that this is an XML, this is a version, and this is an encoding. So the first line represents the XML. Okay, the first line represents this XML naming conventions itself. Okay, guys, so this is going to be the naming conventions within this XML file. So delete it. Now go back to your browser, click on this XML link, copy this XML code, select it, right click, copy it, go back here, paste it here. So it has a 9 different lines. The first line, I know that the first line is representing the syntax. See, the second line here is a comment. See here, so the second line is a comment basically. So this is a TestNG suite. I'm just deleting that second line. I'm not keeping that. I just deleted that second line. So here it is a suite test class, right? Let me highlight this one with the points. Okay, so let me highlight this with the points. Uh, this one line represents a two, this line represents, okay, the test, and this line represents the classes one, two, and a three. So here, what I'm going to do right now is, okay, so uh, let me clear all. Okay, here I'm writing down line 2 is a suit. It has a suit keyword. Line 3, it has a test keyword. Line 4, it has a classes keywords. Right, guys? We have these many keywords in 2, 3, and a 4. So if I know 2, 3, and a 4, see, 6 is ending the classes. So whenever you can find within an XML file, guys, one thumb rule here is, whenever you find this, okay, this line which is an end of that particular tag. See here, the classes is ending here, the test is ending here, the suit is ending here. So it means the starting point for this suit is in a 2 line, and the ending point for that suit here is in an 8th line. The similar way, the starting point for the test is in the 3rd line, and the ending point is in a 7th line. The similar way, this is in a 6th line. Okay, so this end is representing the end tag basically. Okay, this is representing this end tag. Okay, good enough. Done the deal. And now, what is a suit, what is a test, and what is a classes? So let's jump on to this XML understanding info. Now, I just switch it to my old document. So whatever the XML file which I have copied to my editor, the same XML file I copied here, the XML code I have copied here to my Word document as well. So there is an annotation hierarchy within this TestNG. So the annotation hierarchy here is suit, test, classes, followed by a methods. Okay, suit first, then test, then classes, followed by a methods. Okay, so within a suit, we can add multiple classes. Okay, within a suit, we can add multiple tests out over there. Okay, that's fine. So within a test, within a classes and all those things, right? These many details are there here. So let us study what is a suit, what is a test, what is a class in few minutes. So what I am doing right now means, let me change the names. See, in the report earlier, it is displaying as a default suit, right? I don't want to see it as a default suit. Wherever suit is there, see here, if you observe the suit should be in a second line. Go to the second line, see in a XML file in the second line, suit, some guy stage development, and the name, it is as a default suit. I'm changing it to batch 117 suit, and line 3 has a test, and the name of that particular test is a default test. I'm changing it to sample test 1. Okay, I'm changing it to sample test 1. See the ending suit name, I'm changing it to this name. The similar way ending test name also I'm changing here. So the only thing what I have done right now is I just changed names of this one. Now right click on this XML file, run as. See, earlier we used to get a TestNG test option. Now we are getting a TestNG suit option. Run as a TestNG suit again, or select this a TestNG suit option. Okay, so here the next point is, once after we executed here, again right click on a folder, refresh it, and go to the test output folder. You can open it, or we have already opened the report, right? Just refresh this report. So whenever you refresh this report, see here, batch 117 suit. Okay, batch 117 suit. See, when I selected that, see the content it got displayed, and everything is updated here. What it updated, seriously? We updated just the suit name, and even in an XML file, we updated the info. See, the suit name and the test name within an XML file got updated, and it updated this XML file as well. Okay, we updated this XML file. Now, okay, fine. Always it is launching a browser and it is executing a script, right? So whenever I'm running, see guys, we are just going in a debugging way in order to understand this XML file. So the point here is, whenever we are running XML file, it is launching a browser and performing some operation. It means somewhere in the XML file, we may have a specified the TestNG class which it needs to execute. Whatever the TestNG it needs to execute, you are somewhere it got a specified. So let me rerun it and show you. See, run as a TestNG suit. So whenever I perform this operation, see here, it is launching a browser, it is opening an application, and then it is performing some operation on a browser, and after few seconds, it is terminating that particular browser. So it means we may have a specified certain logic with reference to the TestNG class within this XML file. Let us look for that. So I'm not studying about suit to test in a classes, guys. I'm just studying where this logic is. See, somewhere I noticed that new test 4 and unit test dot new test ng 4. Unit test, I know it's my package name. See here, package name. Under the unit test for a package, the new test 4 is executing. So under the classes, we have a configured which test it needs to execute. Great. What I am doing right now, so I have another class which is a new test 3, new test 2 also. So directly I'm changing 4 to 2. Whenever I change it to 4 to 2, if you jump on to the second class, this logic is there. This piece of code it will execute. Right click, run as a TestNG suits. It will be executing the content present in a TestNG2 or a new test 2. If you want to change it to new test 3, change it, run it, that piece of code will be executed. Okay, that piece of code will be executed. Once the execution is completed, I'm refreshing the report and see here the new test 2, this time the second class is executed, and now I change it to 3. When I run it, it will be executing. So under the classes, I'm changing the content, automatically it's launching the respective class. But this XML file, whatever we have created, always launching only one browser at a time. Or I can say one test script execution is happening within this XML file. But I don't want to go with a single execution. I just want to go with a bunch of executions. How to configure this XML file in such a way it will support multiple scripts? For that, you need to know these tags, which is a test, which is a classes, class, and all those things, which we will study at your morning. We will continue this part at your morning session, and then we will see more details about this configuration of an XML.